say water, but an other kind of backup. And my
Oh,
basement
no.
office,
Oh,
we call it
no.
the Great Punami. It's not great, but it was a punami. So I'm just now getting things together, and it's very sad.
Oh, no. So
Actually,
working from home isn't all that it's cracked up to be, right?
it is until that happens. It is not.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
awful.
It was awful. Yes, it was. It was a surprise in
Yeah.
so many ways.
Yeah, so we'll just talk for a few minutes and then
Sure.
this is not live, we'll just take the best parts and
Okay, cool.
magically edit them together. And
You'll take out all the dancing bits because I guarantee those are not going to be good.
yes,
Yay. I like
take
it.
out the socially awkward dance moves.
I think maybe also the squeaky chair move is bad. Let me retrieve a better chair. She's
Okay.
nice, except that voice is creepy. All right. We'll see if this is better.
Okay.
That's the secret land of laundry back there. Actually, it's really living at home, working at home is really
Nice.
it's not sexy.
I know.
Yeah.
Do you have these extra chairs?
You do. We do have extra chairs. Yes, we do. All of them.
Will you push that one out of the screen so
like
that
this?
it's other way, yeah.
I like that. Oh, not nice. I'm not a nice person.
So where are we talking to you from today?
Chicago. Well, Naperville, western burbs of.
Great.
Yeah, close to Anderson's bookshop. Now, are you Arden?
No, I'm Clay. I'm the editor of Kirkus.
Clay. Oh.
Arden helps. I mean, she runs this whole thing. She helps if there's any technical questions, and then she's the magic lady editing. I have the easy job. I just get to talk to writers. She has to actually edit your responses. So.
Yeah, poor Arden. Oh well. How long have you been doing that at Kirkus? Excuse me.
These video interviews in particular, I think for about a year and a half.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's a real different way than we interview people in print. So it's nice to have it. So
yeah.
So tell me where. I mean, I know this book is one in a series, obviously, but where did the idea to make her a scientist come from?
Well, it's actually this big, long sequence that began with Iggy Peck. And I wrote that book because...
Architect.
The Iggy Peck architect, yes. Whenever my son was 3 or 4 years old, he loved to build things. So he was the kid with a million Legos and blocks and pretty much anything he could reach, he would start making, structures from, and including going to restaurants, and he would take the jelly packs and he would make these giant towers, which waitresses don't like, surprisingly. I thought it was great. But it gave me the idea, what if there was a kid who wanted to be an architect? And so I wrote that book really as a standalone. And, Susan Van Meter, who's the editor at Abrams Books for Young Readers, paired me up with David Roberts. And I wasn't really familiar with his illustration. He didn't have a lot of books here in the US at the time. And I was like, yes, of course. Which is what you say when your editor says, what do you think? You say, yes, please. And it turns out to have been one of the most fortuitous and wonderful happen chances ever, because his art really has an architectural style. It just fit the text so beautifully. And that actually is not by accident, because he studied illustration, fashion illustration at university. So all of those clothes and all of those incredibly, stylish things that happen in all these books come from his love of fashion illustration and design. So I wrote Iggy, and Iggy came out, and it was very, very dear to my heart. So I assumed because of that nobody would ever read it, but I would love it forever. And I was so wrong, thankfully, that people just word of mouth and through the independent booksellers and librarians and teachers really started really loving that book and just telling other people about it. So we set off to do another story. Susan, the editor, said, what about another story for Iggy? And I tried, but I'd already done that book, so it just wasn't working. And then we at the same time came to the thought of maybe exploring some of the other kids in the class. So I looked through the book for months, really. I just sort of would revisit the book every day and look at all the kids and sort of see what they did. And in Iggy Peck, you see each kid 4 times. And I noticed that that little girl with the blonde hair, you would never see both of her eyes. She would sit there with her bangs swooping over her eye and just tucked in so small, like she's trying to be invisible. And I thought, wow, why? What's her story? And that was the genesis then of Rosie Revere. So after Rosie, and then I got stuck halfway through Rosie. I didn't know what the problem was going to be. I didn't really know where to take it. And one day I was talking with my aunt Emmeline, who happened to be a Rosie the Riveter during World War II. And she actually worked in a factory in Alton, Illinois, where they made bullets for the Chinese army because we armed them during that conflict. And I thought, you know what, I really want to do something to say thank you to all the Rosie the Riveters and all the men who fought in that war and the women who also helped in that effort. And so when that happened, then I put in Great Aunt Rose. This is a long answer.
That's fine.
We'll get there. We will get there. So I picked Rosie as an engineer. I knew I wanted her to be an engineer, but mostly because I wanted to see what David would do with the illustrations, because he did such wonders with Iggy Peck Architect. I thought, you know, what will this guy do as an engineer? And he nailed it. There's so much fun in those illustrations. And then after that, Rosie did really well, but also even before that, the wheels start turning. What about the other kids in the class? And so I went again through now 2 books of illustrations, seeing both of these kids, both books and all the kids in the classroom. And I noticed that in the picture in Iggy Peck, when they're all building the bridge, and Iggy's standing up on the rock and doing his diagrams in the sand, everybody's doing something, but there's one little girl who's sitting there and she's just going like this. And she's sort of rubbing her chin and she's thinking. And my mom used to do this same gesture, and she was a big thinker. And I loved that so much. So I thought, that kid is curious. She wants to know everything. She wants to know about the world and just is figuring out, how does this all fit? What's going on? And so science was just the natural step. So that's why she's a scientist.
Oh, nice, nice.
That was a long answer, wasn't it?
No. We like long answers. And so for Ada, at a moment when, we need diverse books, the sort of heightened awareness of representation in children's books, was writing across race, did that make this a more, perilous journey for you, or a more liberating one? Or?
I really didn't think about it that way. I don't feel that I have the skill, the anything to write for any group of people, be that girls or boys or blacks or whites or any group, kangaroos, I don't care what it is. I can't do that and find truth in the story. So what I said about doing is looking at that kid. So I look at that girl and what is her story. And she is African American, so that is who she is. But I really just wanted to know, I was more intrigued than anything about this world of the mind that she has and how consumed she is by curiosity.
Yeah.
So the rest, I think, will just sort of work out the way it works out, and I hope people will be receptive to it, and I hope we handled the book respectfully and well, and such things. But I never set out to do, or even to write for girls, and people think with Rosie that was really the intentional thing, and it really wasn't. But having said that, I am glad that both of these girls, and I'm glad for Iggy, the approach that he takes to design and architecture and passion. So I see Iggy Peck as a book about passion, and I see Rosie as a book about perseverance, and Ada is a book about curiosity. So, but mostly they're 3 tales of 3 kids. It's timely though, because we certainly need more diversity in science and STEM. We need more girls in there in this area too, because I think we're missing an enormous amount of talent, and we need all the talent we get, because there's a lot of problems to fix. So
but what about the books all have these kind of STEM type professions. What about like a book for a literary person like me, like somebody who wants to be a writer or a journalist or a filmmaker? Get
Yes,
on it.
I know. No pressure here. I actually get funny, great emails. Everyone I love, and this really, is kind of an honor as an author, that these books have connected with people in a way that they feel, they say, can you do something for this thing that I love so much? And I sometimes they're kind of offbeat, so I get emails like one of them was, I think it was the guy who, and maybe woman who does the traffic lines on the roads, and I like, yeah, I think that'd be a good one. But coming up with a rhyming name for a person who writes lines on a road, it's a little tough. So
Right.
I would love to and hope to keep continuing with these books and find just explore all the possibilities. And I think artist is one that I look at a couple of those kids and think, oh, that kid's an artist. And writer, I think writer, teacher would be fantastic. But it's very hard, and it's very one book by book, because for me, I think to have these books come out and be true and therefore be able to reach kids, because I think kids are the most discerning audiences. And if you write something that's didactic, if you write something that's just really not really there, they know it. They smell that a mile away, and they don't want it. Nor should you ever do that to a kid. Kids, they deserve the best books. So sort of, I think that these kids, hopefully, I think it will get exponentially difficult, but I think one by one, as I see them in more settings, their characteristics will sort of come out. A little bit. So I'm sure that there's some writerliness going on in there somewhere.
Right. We can only hope, right?
I was thinking actually about like septic tank cleaner, but that idea stunk. So
Yeah, for you.
drum roll, ka-chunk.
So how'd you get started in children's books in the first place?
Well, actually, I have a degree in biology with almost a double major in math, in computer science. There were a couple more math classes that I could have done, and I think I was done with school by then. Like, no, looking back, was that a good idea? I don't know. But I came out of school, and I actually got a job at a computer software company. And so I was like in the IT crowd. I was the guy on the phone who's like, have you turned it on and off again? That was me. So I did that for a few years, and eventually we started a newsletter, and I volunteered to be the editor of the newsletter, and got very serious about editing and about trying to be as efficient and concise and clear and entertaining with the writing as I could be. And ultimately, it turns out those are exactly the same skills that you need if you're writing for kids. Because kids are not going to stick around 5 pages to find out, oh, yay, they're going to build something. Oh, I'm gone. They don't have time for that. And it has to be well written, it has to be smart, and it has to be clear and fun. So that was great training. But after I left that, and then I was at home raising kids for a while and reading for the first time. I mean, I read picture books as a kid, but since they were mostly written by dinosaurs, because I'm sort of that old, they weren't as good. Like the amount of wonderful literature available now to kids is just mind-boggling. So reading books with my kids when they were little was just like, it was finding this new art form that I kind of knew existed, but had only had a tiny glimpse of in my own childhood, although books were incredibly important to me. So I started getting ideas and started writing them down, and wow, I don't know, here we are.
Yeah.
No one is more surprised than I am, but pleased. I'm so pleased. And the thing that makes me proudest, I think, of all, and clearly this is a team effort. I mean, Abrams is amazing. We have an editor and an art director, and Chad Beckerman, who is astounding. Susan Van Meter's amazing, and David. I could do no words on the page, and those books would be beyond remarkable, I think. Yeah. But the greatest thing really is when you see the kids want to read the books again and again and again. That makes me proud. Yeah. Because I think, in some way, maybe these books will have an effect on kids. And my secret dream that one day some woman will come up and say, I'm an engineer because of these books. And I just cured cancer and went to Mars. And I'll be like, yay! What are you doing tomorrow?
Nice.
So that would be cool.
That's perfect.
So that's very lovely. That's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Can
We
I
got
just
everything. Yeah.
Can I just mention one other thing
Yeah.
that is truly exciting and awesome about Rosie Revere?
Yeah.
And that is that she's on the International Space Station
Oh.
as a program, which is amazing, as a program for called Storytime from Space, which they take picture books to the space station. Astronauts read them. They download the videos, and then they're available for educators, for families, any Earthlings. You just can, maybe Martians too, I don't know. And you can watch them, and they're going to do experiments in space to go with the books. And all of these materials will be available in the coming months. So it's a really, really cool program that combines literacy and science literacy, which is just what we need. I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah.
So
what an honor for you, though, as a writer. It's amazing.
it was crazy cool. I love it because they sent me an email and sort of was like, well, would you mind if we sent your book to the space station? I don't know. I'm kind of busy that day. What's the question mark there for? I don't even know. Strangest punctuation I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's so funny. Clearly somebody who doesn't interact with writers very much.
Good people, though. So it's lots of fun. And I'm super excited about Ada Twist. I mean, just I love science so much. And as a kid, I spent all my childhood running around fields and looking at insects and, animals and things, and just following curiosity wherever it led me. And so to be able to put that in a story that hopefully will get kids to think that way too would be hopefully really great. I love the book anyway. She's still in my heart.
Great. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Congrats on it. We
Thank you.
It, and we'll get this ready.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, have a good day.
Thanks. You too. Have a good afternoon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.